What's up guys, it's Jacob with J&J Engraves. I'm going to be going over how to engrave on painted tiles. I'm using a 100 watt CO2 with a 2.5 inch lens focus, and I'm going to show you a few examples of some stuff I've done in the past, and hopefully after this video you can do some similar things yourself. Um, Here is one I did of my son and his stuffed animals, which I think turned out really good. I don't know if you can see it in there. You can get all the stitching that it got in the stuffed animals, all the fuzz. I mean, just super nice. I like that one. That's one of my favorites that I've done. Let's see, I'll just grab the rest. I got a monkey. Not my son, the monkey, but this monkey. I think that one turned out super good too. And all this is just for practice. I don't have customers ordering this kind of stuff, but it's just to see if I'm doing well. I recommend doing that too. A box of these tiles is like 15 bucks. They aren't that expensive. So highly recommend getting a box and playing around with them. There's a tardigrade. That one turned out super well. And then here is a fox sniffing a flower. And my son's a big fan of foxes, so that's why I did that one. But that's basically what we're going to be covering today. If it's something you're interested in, be sure you watch till the end. I'll have the results at the end, and also be sure you leave a like and subscribe and all that good stuff at the end if you enjoy the video. So let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to be painting the tile for you guys, showing you how I do that. It's just a regular white tile, gloss coating on it. That's what I got. And I am using, let's flip this camera around. Where'd my flipping paint go? Where'd my paint go, guys? Here we go. So I usually use matte paint. I ran out, so today for the example I'll be using gloss paint. This is what I normally use, is Fusion all-in-one gloss black. It's my little dirty paint station, so please don't judge me. So shake that up. You're just going to go over it with a quick coat. Good idea to go ahead and get the sides while you're doing this. That way you don't have to do it later. Hopefully you get that back side good. I'm not trying to be too perfect this time around. Now you just want to put this in a safe place where dust and stuff won't get on it. Like in here. Oh. And just set that up and try not to get your finger on it like I did there on the corner. And just let that dry. I normally let it go as long as you really can, but at least a couple of hours. And we should be able to get that engraved when we return. Alright guys, so here's the picture I am going to work with today. I'm just going to do a stock photo I found on Google. It's copyright free supposedly, but we're just doing it as an example, so no harm, no foul. So when you're in Photoshop, what you want to do now is you want to take and go up to Enhance. You're going to go, and I'm using Photoshop Elements. It may be different if you have full Photoshop. This is kind of like a basic Photoshop program. Convert to black and white, and you've got a few presets to choose from. I kind of like that infrared look myself, and that's the one I want to go with. But you can look at all of them and just see what's the best option, or which one you think looks best. Now we've got it in there. We've got to make this a square because our tile is a square. So if we just try to import this whole photo, we've missing sections. So you really want to get you a square made. Try to keep it exact. Alright, now that we got our square made, it's about 1,000 by 1,000 pixels. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and we have it cut. So this is going to be the square that's used for our tile. And here in a second I'll show you the type of tile I'm using and everything like that, but we'll go into these settings first. Now that you've got that done, what I usually do is I go into Adjust Lighting, Shadows, and Highlights. Now this is something that I do. Everybody's going to edit their pictures and find their own way to do it, but something I find that makes it just look sharp, especially for these, is completely cutting out those mid-tone contrast and bringing your light down. You darken these highlights. You can also lighten the shadows, and you see how that's lightening up the hair. And you got to do one more step after this to really make these pop and look the way that they should. But that's pretty decent. I don't think that looks bad. It's a little blocky, but that's just part of the picture, and that probably won't and go over into the engraving once we do that. So we're going to click OK. We're going to go back up to Enhance. We're going to go to Adjust Lighting again. Levels is what you're going to click next. And basically what you want to do, this is going to be your white over here. And this is going to be your black. This is your gray area. So moving these sliders is going to turn a lot of these grays into a white. It's going to make those whites a lot more rich, and it's going to turn the gray, some of those gray areas there that are in there, it's going to make that white. And then you can darken your blacks up by pulling the black in. And then if you wanted to adjust the gray area and kind of lighten everything up, or you can darken it up, you can do that. I'm going to leave it like that, though. I think that that's going to become a good engraving. So after we're done with that, what I like to do is I go up to image, I resize the image every time before I do my engraving. Native, it's shit, we want 1,000. So native, it's 72. That's your screen resolution. We want to make this about 325 because that's going to be my DPI when I bring it over to Lightburn. Click OK. You're going to go into Save. And it saved it. Actually, we'll do Save As. Do Save As, because sometimes I'll try to save it as a Photoshop, and I also like to turn these into PNGs. I just like PNG better. I feel like that converts better, but that might just be all in my head. Okie dokie. And there we have it. That's the editing portion in Photoshop. You can also do these same things in GIMP. I know I can use GIMP a little bit, but Photoshop's just kind of what I'm more familiar with. But if you know how to do the adjustments and the gamma corrections and all that, I guess that's what you call it in GIMP, then, you know, do the same thing, try to get the same results. You can kind of see it's almost like the sketched pencil effect in the photo, which will look really nice on the tile. So I'm gonna flip over to Lightburn and we'll see you over there. Alright, so we are in Lightburn. This is the most up-to-date version of Lightburn. We are in June of 2022, so it may look a little different depending on when you're watching this, but at this point we are June 2022. So we're going to have to create our square. To find the measurement of this, you really need to measure your tile. So my tile, I do everything in millimeters. You can do it in inches if you'd like. There's a way to change that over, but mine's in millimeters. My tiles are 151 millimeters by 151 millimeters. I'm going to change the size there, relock that so it doesn't change or do anything goofy. We're going to change this over to a line, and that is going to be our outline for the tile. So now the next step is pretty important. Oh boy, sorry. So this is the piece of tile we have. It's just a regular white piece of gloss ceramic tile. Nothing special about it, just normal old kitchen tile that you would do. So that's what I'm using. Box of these at Lowe's is about 15-20 bucks. Just depends on I think I got these from Home Depot, but either way, Lowe's, Home Depot, about 15-20 bucks for a box of them. They're not very expensive, so I recommend going out and getting a whole box and just toying with them, experimenting. It's not a big deal if you mess up, and you can also do a few tricks to recover it with paint and try again. It might not be one that you'd want to sell, but it at least gives you something to practice on. So there it is. And there it is after the one coat of matte black paint. I think I didn't get a good covering on this one because I was running low at the end of the bottle, but you would want a better surface covering than that. But we'll still try it out. We'll see how it works. So now, what I do, I always give me a piece of scrap wood. Doesn't matter, you know, what it is. You're just wanting a piece of scrap wood to basically make that square around your wood, so you'll have a place to drop that tile on. So when you put your image in Lightburn, you'll be perfectly center every time. You won't have to worry about, you know, like a corner of it not being on the tile or whatever. I mean, it'll be perfect every time if you follow these instructions. So just get you a blank piece of wood somewhere, and then center your nozzle somewhere on the on that blank piece of wood, and then draw your 151 by 151 square we just did in Lightburn and engrave that, and you'll be ready to go. So you're going to go to File in the top left corner. Now that we've got our square on our board and we're ready to engrave that tile, let's go ahead and get this image in here and edited. So we're going to go to Import. The last one that we, you know, did in Photoshop should be the first one in here. Pick your file. That's it there. And we already have that one selected. So now we want to hold down the Control button and highlight the orange square that you made. That represents your tile in the bed. And now we're going to make these the same size. These two buttons at the top where my mouse is, I don't know if you can see it or not. If you hit both of these, it will match the width and height of the second item you select. And then right here, we can drop it right in the center of that square. So there is the picture. So now we need to do some editing on the photo, get our power settings right, and some settings in Lightburn. So I right click, usually you got to select the image though, that helps. Right click after you've selected the image and go up to where it says adjust image here. You're going to right click that. We have this in ordered mode now. That's not what I want to do. I'm going to use Jarvis as my dither pattern. Your image mode here. Another thing is we adjusted the DPI to be 325 on Lightburn. I mean in Photoshop. So we're going to match that in Lightburn. That should give us the perfect amount of dots for this image. So we're not putting too many, too little. This should be just right. And I'm playing with something today called dot width correction. You can play with that too if you like. I'm using a 100 watt CO2 with a 2.5 inch lens focus. So my laser beam gets a little fat when I'm trying to deal with tiny details like this, and sometimes the dot width correction will help. But either way, you're going to go over to enhance radius right here. I usually turn it up to about 25. You can play around with it and mess with it how you'd like. And usually I go up to about 50 and see how it looks, and I might change some things based on that. But it's not looking too bad. Might go up a little bit on this. Yeah, kind of like. Now that we've got this thing set up, we've got 325 DPI, our gamma, our enhanced radius, all that set. We want to do negative because we're taking that black off and we're exposing the white. So we want the laser to hit all the areas that are going to be left white and leave the black paint in the shaded areas. That's the goal here. So press OK. We have all that set up. Now's the time we go over here to our image settings over here in the top right, and we're going to double click that. I have my speed at 200, but I'm going to set this at 250. My max power is going to be 25, and I'm going to leave my minimum power at 0. It sometimes will help though. You can turn it up to like your minimum turn on point for your laser, and that saves your tube from having to kick on, and you might save yourself some horizontal lines and stuff if you're running into some issues like that. But I've not been having those issues lately, at least. I scan it at 180 because I like it to start from the top and work its way down, but either way works. And today we're going to enable this little setting here called dot width correction. I'm going to play with that, and we are going to set that at, let's do 0.06, and let's see how that turns out. So that's it. All the settings are there. We are going to only put out this image, A good idea is to hit your preview button to make sure you do have it in negative mode. It really sucks to do these and accidentally not do it in negative, and then you waste your time and a tile. So be sure you double check that you have it on negative mode, that you look at your time there, you're about 23 minutes. You can adjust that with your DPI and speed and all that stuff to get a little lower if you think that's too high. That's not too bad in my opinion for what we're doing here. And here in a second I'm gonna hit start. I've just got to cut my air assist on and everything. Hang on 1 second. And now we're going to hit the start. And be sure you wear your safety glasses, because these tiles reflect a lot of light. So definitely make sure you're putting your lid down or wearing your safety glasses when you're doing this. And I'm gonna let this bad boy run on a hyperlapse. So we'll catch you guys here. So after all of that, I'm not that happy with the end results with what I got. So here is the one we just did, and it's really not that good. So I decided that I didn't like the edit that we did in Photoshop. I think that was a lot to do with it. I didn't cut out enough of those grays. And your laser has a certain point, certain threshold that of colors that it'll perform really well on, some that it won't. So you kind of want to play around and find that that sweet spot for your grays and highlights and everything. So I reran it, did a few adjustments in Photoshop, kept all the settings the same in Lightburn, so everything's the same there, but Photoshop was a little different. And what I did was I just lightened things up and tried to remove some of those grays that weren't coming through as well. And I think I got a better result out of it. I think we got a way better image out of that. And I do have a gloss coating over this one instead of matte black paint. So that's why you're getting such a glare, but still came out pretty darn good. So there it is. Not too difficult. You can incorporate a few other things with your tile if you'd like to. You can add a wood frame around it. You can pitch this stuff to tile, people that do tiling, remodeling companies, things like that. They may have a use for it. Maybe it's something they can pitch to their customers, and you have a reliable source of income if that goes well. Another thing you can do is create products with your store with it. Just little things to go around the office. This right here, I framed it in wood. It's an 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, and just made the frame a little bit overlap the tile just a little bit. That'll keep it in there and keep it from falling out. Got a really nice little frame tile for it, and you can hang that up, put a little hinge on the back, and have it as a desk ornament or what have you. Like I said, I mean, you can do some cool stuff with the tile. Take like 8 of them, put them together, make a big picture, and you can get a big giant one. They sell these in different sizes at Lowe's too, so you can do something pretty spectacular and big with it if you wanted to. So I mean, there's a few things you can also add. I'm not very good at it yet, but you can add multiple layers of paint to this and kind of give it an artistic rainbowish effect if you're able to get those layers and your laser settings right, and kind of get a cool effect off of that. But yeah, neat trick. If you guys learned anything, and if you're happy, or if you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask in the comments below. I try to answer them as soon as I see them. If you have any suggestions for video or anything you'd like to see, let me know. I'm going to try to do a couple of these a week, and if you like what you're seeing, be sure to subscribe and tune in for more. Thank you.